watch the courses of the stars as if you revolved with them, to keep constantly in mind how the elements alter into one another. Thoughts like this wash off the mud of life below. Hello! So before I even make the video, I would like to explain why I'm making it, and the reason is that I've been feeling a little weird recently. I think we're all feeling a little weird because it's a really weird time, and there are many elements to the weirdness, but the one that I want to focus on is the idea that the future is particularly uncertain right now. I think it always was uncertain, but it was easy to ignore that fact. It's not so easy to ignore it right now. And I didn't realize this about myself, but I'm very much someone who can kind of get through a bad patch or a bad day and rationalize any bad thing by thinking to the future and basically having something to look forward to, whether it's an actual event, whether it's just a sort of loose concept that I know that I'm working towards. There's some idea of the future making now feel a little bit nicer. Not only have we kind of lost that, but now feels expansive. Like the concept of now is lasting a very long time. It's kind of highlighted a few things for me that I've been thinking about recently, and that's what I would like to share with you. So, we have been taught that there is value in change and novelty and new things and new starts and milestones. And though this isn't untrue, by overemphasizing the importance of these things, we distract from the importance of finding beauty in the ordinary. Glamour, drama, overhauls, big gestures, passion, overnight success, gossip, novelty. It's everywhere in our films and TV shows and our social media because it's entertaining, it's big, it's appealing, and it makes a good story. And I feel like there is a definite truth to the fact that we are encouraged to make our lives a good story. I have spent far too much time longing, like genuinely longing to be something different to what my ordinary is. So before minimalism, it was having lots of nice clothes or having lots of money or just kind of kitting myself out in a way that makes me look like someone who you might want to spend time with. And then after minimalism, it was like achieving my creative goals and traveling and general self-improvement, which, you know, these things are great, but the issue is that ordinary was always my baseline, and I always wanted to have or be something more than that. And that captured my attention more than the current moment ever could. I was reading an article about Hayao Miyazaki, who is the director of many Studio Ghibli films. And he was talking about Spirited Away being distributed in the US through Miramax. So Miramax is an American company who were notorious for cutting films to make them as commercial as possible, making them fast-paced and exciting and efficient vehicles of the narrative. Miyazaki had to fight his corner but refused to let them make any cuts because so much of the beauty in Miyazaki's films come from the moments of slow pace and quiet and the mundane and opportunities to simply soak in a scene. Whereas Hollywood is much more dramatic and perhaps represents a more brash, glamorized, sensational world, Studio Ghibli finds beauty in the ordinary. As Asher Isbruker says in his video essay, The Immersive Realism of Studio Ghibli, pay attention to the ordinary, the inconsequential, seemingly unimportant actions and elements. Every single one of them was a conscious choice. Now, it might just be me, but I don't think it is just me. In fact, it definitely isn't just me. But I feel like, especially in the West, we are encouraged to live our lives as commercially as possible. So, you know, everything is monetizable. Everything is a commodity. Time is money. Attention is money. We are overly invested in personal branding. Therefore, I think that there's something in this little interaction between Miramax and Miyazaki that we can learn from. There's something important there. I think we could all benefit from spending more time finding beauty in the ordinary. And the only way to do this is to pay attention and to live our lives in an intentional way that highlights the beauty of the mundane, of simplicity, and of the ordinary. So let's think really quickly about what your ordinary actually is. So the chances of you being born are 1 in 400 trillion. The conditions for you being here have to be so precise and aligned so perfectly that was every single chance that they wouldn't. But they did. Whether you like it or not, your ordinary is extraordinary. And I do think that there is some sort of pervasive shame around the concept of ordinary or living an ordinary life. When I was a teenager, I was a big fan of Avril Lavigne, and she had a song called Anything But Ordinary. So I would often be bopping away to the words, I'd rather be anything but ordinary, please. So if that's not evidence for my claim, then I don't know what is. But the thing about ordinary is that it will always find you, because, you can start a new school or a new job and it feels big and like life will never be the same. It'll never feel normal again. But, give it a few months, feels normal. It's your new ordinary. Ordinary has found you. The same would be true if you got your dream job or achieved all your goals overnight or won the lottery. To practice, let's take something really mundane and practice seeing the beauty in it. So currently in my kitchen, I'm not going to bother showing you, but in my kitchen there is a pile of dishes that need doing. So I can look at them and I can think, what a chore. I can't be bothered to do these dishes. How dare they sit there reminding me that I haven't done them yet. What a nuisance. How rude. That's one perspective that I could have. The other would be to see them as a sign of life, of my life in my home that I share with a man I love more than anything. They are representative of a meal that I cooked for him, and I'm so lucky to be able to afford the food that is delicious, that is healthy, that aligns with my morals. I'm in such a lucky position to have a pile of dishes in that kitchen that need to be washed. I have water to wash them. I'm doing all right. things are really good. If I only see that pile of dishes as a chore to be done, then I fail to see the beauty in what they represent. And there's a perfect opportunity for gratitude there. I think it's really easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we can only be grateful for typically good things, but there's no limit to what we can be grateful for. There's no point where a situation or an object doesn't deserve our gratitude. When I think back to being a teenager, when it was horrible, I was so full of emotions all the time, and it was excruciatingly awkward, and what a time. When I think back to that, I think about how incredible it was to be able to feel that deeply about life and about boys and about the future and about everything. Like, I felt every emotion with every ounce of my being when I was that age, and it was a horrible experience. I would never have thought this at the time, but to look back at it, what a gift it was to be able to engage with life to that level, to be that invested in every single moment. It wasn't pleasant. I didn't particularly enjoy feeling that many feelings all the time, but what a perspective. What a great thing to have experienced. One day, when you get enough distance from this moment, when you're significantly older, or if something unpredictable happens, like a pandemic, for example, let's just pluck that one out of the air there, you will look back at this moment and you will only see the good things. You will only see the things that make it wonderful. And you can choose to look at your life with that perspective right now. Revering the mundane and the everyday and respecting it. That is gratitude. That is living. Appreciating the impermanence of every moment and everything you have and everything you are and everything that you feel. Ordinary is amazing. Life is amazing, even if it doesn't feel like it. And remember as well, your ordinary will be somebody else's extraordinary. It's all a matter of perspective. Your hometown, your mess, your habits, your weird laugh, your frustrations, your family, your fears, your quirks, everything that makes you, you, is something beautiful. Your ordinary is beautiful, but you'll never appreciate that until you can shift your attention away from the need to be different from who you are right now. Sometimes we just can't see the wood for the trees. We define extraordinary by its distance to our ordinary. And by that definition, it's always moving away from us. So we'll never be satisfied. We'll buy into false promises. We'll put our hope into things that waste our time. We will buy crap that we don't need. If your view of the world is tainted by how far away you are from the next significant change or the next milestone, then you'll never be able to appreciate what it is that you have right now and who you are right now. And it's worth pointing out as well that this is really different to looking on the bright side, because we're not pretending that our lives are perfect. We are revering the ordinary, we are respecting the imperfections. And it's also worth pointing out that this isn't lack of ambition. We're not saying that we're never ever going to hope for more or want to be a better version of ourselves. What we're saying is that what we have and who we are right now, that's good as well. It's about where your attention is. If your attention is eternally in the future, where I suspect mine was, then you can't help but have a certain lack of gratitude for where you are right now. It's about finding that balance. So one way that we can find beauty in the ordinary is by being a little bit more meditative in our day-to-day practices. So for example, if we are having a shower, really take a moment to feel what the water feels like on your skin. Like, keep your attention there just for a moment. If you're making a cup of coffee, spend a moment just really being present in smelling what the coffee smells like. Take a moment to appreciate the colours around you. When you're talking to someone, really pay attention, be present, really actively listen. The more we can engage with the current moment, the more we can appreciate it. There's beauty all around us, but it's so easy to be distracted by what isn't there that we fail to see it. I think it's really important as well to romanticize the little things and to remember that, years ago, the situation you're in right now might have been something that you really wanted, but it's easy to forget that. If I could show you your life on a screen and had some kind of vintage filter on it and some acoustic guitar playing in the background, then you'd be able to see it. You'd acknowledge the beauty of the little ordinary details of your life. But we don't have that. I can't do that for you, I'm afraid. I don't have enough time. So we have to look for it. We have to look for those details ourselves. Your life, however far away it is from what you define as perfect, is beautiful. The fact that you're here at all makes it so. There is magic in that. I go as far as to say that there is significantly more beauty in the ordinary and the mundane than there is in a spectacle. And I think that's really important to remember. So that's something that I've been trying to do a bit more. It's definitely not easy because it is so much simpler to have your head distracted by other things. It's kind of like zooming out of a situation. There's a stoic principle called it's like the view from above, which is where you view any moment with as much context as you can, essentially. And I think that's a really important thing to do, but it does take a certain amount of mental energy that if you're feeling any extreme emotions, it can be difficult to kind of take a step back, but I think it's really important. So thank you so much for watching. And I also specifically would like to thank Jen for being my first ever patron. You have no idea what that feels like. So thank you. You've truly made my month. Thank you so much. So for anyone who might be interested, I have set up a Patreon, and the point of that is to have somewhere where we can discuss ideas that aren't yet fully formed. It is a place where I feel more comfortable talking about my actual life, because YouTube is great. I love YouTube, but it's also very public. And I kind of like the idea of having the equivalent of kind of a living room hangout for just, chatting with friends kind of thing. Whereas this is a bit more like everyone's invited and everyone can judge, and it's a bit scary. It's a little bit overwhelming sometimes. So just having a kind of more chill hangout, let's just discuss some topics, that kind of thing. That's what I want my Patreon to be. So if you'd like to be involved with that, I will leave a link in the description. And also something that I thought might be quite fun is if you have Instagram, tag me in a picture of something that is mundane, but that you have been able to find the beauty in by zooming out, looking at the full context, looking at the full picture. Something that represents something beautiful, but to a distracted eye, you might just think it's something boring or something crap. I think that could be quite a fun little challenge. I think I should do that as well. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well and you're all keeping well in... It's a weird time, isn't it? It's a weird time. Sending lots of love. I shall see you later. Goodbye.
Roll up, let me embed a story you'll never forget. A drip, drip, you're drowning in debt now. You can't buy your way out. And I heard you find it difficult to cope well. Here by this bottle full of hope and limited supply, short-lived desire.